speak one-to-one because I'm the last speaker. We have few people left. Initially, the plan was to look at a mixed audience of mature and young, like how you mentioned. But I'm now left with very young people, so I'm going to change slightly and go back to something which will help young data scientists. Okay? So, aren't there just four sides of a square? We all know the four sides of the square, right? Everybody knows about it. Everybody has seen it. Everybody has spoken about it every time. Last time as well, and this time, or last year and this, I'm trying to look at something which people have not looked at. I think that is what is expected as well. When people come to us, data scientists, they are always coming with already a knowledge of the four sides. They want us to help find that fifth side which they do not know. That problem which they're facing, they do not know the side which they come to us, which is data scientists. They want us to find that fifth dimension in that data time continuum. I have also done that today, trying to look at a different aspect altogether. So beware, we are going in a different direction altogether now. So, does it?
You're pressing the wrong one.
Fifth side.
Fifth side.
Sixth side. Sixth side. So, all over again, data scientist's life is very difficult. Very, very difficult. In fact, so difficult that it's like walking on a tightrope. Walking on a tightrope with a stick in hand. Why do you need a stick in hand? Why do people always balancing on a rope need a stick in hand? Stick in hand helps us kind of intensify or enhance slight variation or balance that we need to maintain on both sides. It just helps that peripheral vision to understand slight variation. What is this polarity? What are we trying to look at as a data scientist? What are things that we are balancing? Let's look at the main two things that young data scientists always face. Right? Two things. One on left, one on right. So here we go. Apophis. 2012, this almost missed us without making any news. This is a meteor which came very close to Earth in 2012. Mayans had almost predicted they would have been happy if it had hit us, but it didn't. It missed. It missed, and it is coming back in 2036 as per the astronauts. If it comes in, there's a particular gravitational keyhole which it has to make through to go inside the atmosphere of the Earth or come inside the atmosphere of Earth and hit us. If it hits us with 200 megaton nuclear bomb force. And that's it, it's our end. So 2036, my friends, and this is true. It's exactly the same situation a data scientist faces when he is trying to put an idea into somebody's brain. A leader's attention span is equivalent to that gravitational keyhole which this meteor missed in the first go. Now, decades it has to take around and come back again to make that gravitational keyhole. So this is the attention span that we are fighting as data scientists, right?
Like that a lot. Very good.
So, gravitational keyhole. This I keep on my left side. What's on my right side that I'm trying to balance, right? This Safrine figurine came to my school, and he was called in by the school to give some kind of a speech about religion. I always get these questions when I get this abstract kind of speeches in my life. And this guy was totally weird from anybody who I've seen as a sadhu, as a saint. He looked almost like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his body compared to a vegan diet that he was on. Right? It was totally weird. He spoke about everything in such an aggression compared to a saint he should be, which is calmness. There was no calmness at all. In his eyes, I could see he would almost kill somebody. He could almost kill. It was something very different when he spoke, which hit me. It was interesting. He said, he has seen God. And this question popped in my mind. So I raised my hand. My PT master almost stopped me. But the saint said, wait, what did you want to ask? So I just stood up and asked, "This God that you have seen, can you describe him to me?" And again, in his very aggression, he came back and said, "If I try to explain that to you, you will not be able to understand." Why? He said, "Because you have never seen anything ever or sensed anything like how I have seen. Now, how will you understand that?" Now, this concept hit me like a freight train. Tell me, if you have never seen something, never experienced something, somebody tries to explain that to you, how will you understand? Spielberg makes alien movies, right? All of these aliens have either tails, eyes, jaws, they can bite, horns. These are all things that we have seen. If he does something about an alien which you have never seen, how will you understand the alien? It is impossible. So this concept hit me. Now, my friends, as data scientists, if you find a pattern, if you find a solution which nobody has seen, it is the fifth dimension that you have found. This is almost like finding God. Finding God. Nobody will be able to understand what you're trying to say. Now this, I'm keeping on my right hand side. So you have a huge opportunity that you have, brilliant idea that you have got, lot of work which you have put in, and there is a keyhole of an opportunity on this side to push that great thing into somebody's head. How do we do this? So this is what we are looking at as polarity that any data scientist is dealing with nowadays, right? The unknown. So, what are the things that we can do when we are looking at resolving this issue? This polarity that we have, which is so great, how can we bring this together? So in middle, these are the things that we can look at, right? The two important things, that is the bandwidth which is explained, and the highest is vision, and the second one is auditory, what you can hear, right? Let's go with auditory first, and vision as well. So you see a snake. I'm specifically using this word. You see a snake. What do? Do you wait there and look at what kind of scale it has? Is it poisonous or not? What do? You run away from that particular situation, right? That is your response. So you see a snake and you visualize things. See and visualize are two different things, right? Another question. You hear a gunshot. Do you wait to look at what direction it came from? Do you listen further? What do? Duck. There is an explosion somewhere, you fall to the ground and roll off. That's what is trained, right? So those are the two different things that I'm talking about. One is seeing and visualizing. The other one is hearing and listening. What is happening here is something called pre-attentive perception. That is, before even you understand, before you even pay attention, you're perceiving something, like a snake, like a bullet shot. So this is something that we have recently found, short-term memory, long-term memory, and there is something third one which we have recently found, which is pre-attentive perception. Before even you start paying attention, you've already perceived something. So if we can use that, maybe this huge polarity that we are looking at is something we can conquer, right? So how can we do it? Colors. Normally, black and white are two distinct colors, and what we perceive is totally different for each of these. I have used this several years on several client presentations, and it always worked. Black is night. Historically, we've always thought black as dangerous. If you put in a black slide in the initial part where you want everybody's attention, if you saw my initial slides were black, you can get their attention. How? Because it always brings in cortisol in your brain. So what happens? People sit up and start observing, and the pupils dilate. This particular cortisol is flowing in your brain. So all you can do immediately is grab their attention, because their attention is primed, right? How about white? Oxytocin. Oxytocin flows in your brain the moment you see white. White is more morning, more calm. I can see everything. I don't perceive any threat. So the last few slides, if you are suggesting something, keep it white. because it is suggesting them to keep calm and expect a solution. Make them more suggestible, acceptable, right? That is oxytocin. So this is something which you don't have to do anything about. It is there in our psyche. We can just use it for our presentations, okay? Now, 9 more minutes. In 15 minutes, I've always realized I can't train people, right? I can't give a lot of data you will not be able to understand. I can only give some stories and then infect your mind. The local slang is "Kida dalna," right? That is a local. But in 15 minutes, all I can do is infect your mind with a particular thought process so that you can go ahead and do your own research. Now, I have put in certain theories over there which can be used, and those theories will help you create a graph, put in a line, put in an arrow in the right direction. So these are the ones which will tell you what pre-attentive perception can help you with when you are preparing a slide. All you have to do is go to the Google Devta, the god of all information, and then you can Google it and you will find all information around it there. Because I just have 15 minutes, all I can do is infect you guys, okay? Now, Maureen Stone, Stephen, and Terry Lee Stone, these are some of the leading people who have worked in this area. Maureen Stone, in fact, has a website where you can go pick the colors that are suggestible in your slides, and it is really helpful, and it's free. Right? Color Design Workbook is also one of the leading work there, where how colors impact our psyche is more clearly explained. This is something which is called as color wheel, and if you see some of the color wheels here, if you pick the opposite colors of the wheel is always beneficial in distinguishing the foreground and the background, right? If you see, the same thing has been done in my slide as well. Now, this is what you see in your PowerPoints very frequently, right? The thumb rule is, as I said, I don't have much time, but the thumb rule is, if you are working with a slide which has a background on this side, always pick this side to highlight, right? If you see, my details are in blue, which is this side, and my theories here are on this side, right? The heading. It will pop up first, and then you go down. The eyes will first go to red and then go down. That is how it works in our psyche, right? Now, I spoke about visual. How about hearing? We had, or in my life, I had 3 CEOs visiting, right? And 3 CEOs, I say, all these are Fortune 10 and above. So, first 2, I think we missed the opportunity. By the 3rd, we were prepared. And when the 3rd guy was coming in, we were supposed to take that CEO from the lift to a particular area. Right? That is all the opportunity that we have. So, this is what was said to the CEO. In your war against saving cost, I think a couple of our battles might help you win your war, right? The CEO was waving to the people. He's kind of a celebrity in that particular organization. And the moment this was uttered, the word war was uttered. He turned and said, looked at or gave attention to us. He's still waving, but his attention is there. His face is turned to this side. So he said, right after we said this, he said, okay, I'm listening, I'm interested. So what you have done is by saying those words, like for example, war. There are some geographical restrictions there. A war is more in tune to a person in Europe or in US. In India, the moment we say war, we'll only talk about Mahabharata. So we don't know the importance of war. So in India, border, battle, conflict, these are the words which you can use. But these are called the priming words. You use these priming words. So as per my research, there are around 60 odd priming words which you can use, and people immediately pay attention to you, right? And if you have that short span with these leaders, I think it would be a best idea to use this. And these, again, I've not done any private research. These are all there. There are 20 words which will describe these words, but 60 words are the words which you can always weave in your presentations, right? So that makes it almost comprehensive combining the two important senses, which is visual and audio, right? After we have done all this, it's only 6% of all these senses that we get is what is received or retained. People take only around 0.6% is what is retained. So for you to enhance that retention, you have to put something in their psyche. What is more better than stories? I have tried to use as many stories as possible in most of my presentation today as well. It can be a simple incident, but the moment you put in a story behind it, it is there embedded, right? So, we all know in our own cultures, there is always stories of the big flood, the huge deluge. It is there in Mayan, it is there in Mesopotamian culture, it is there in Indian culture, Manu and the fish avatar. It is there in Sumerian. Gunyu, I think, is the Chinese legend about the big flood. So it is there in every culture. I don't know about every culture, what they're saying. Most of the cultures are saying that this deluge will come back. It happened once and it'll come back. I'm not sure if the deluge is coming back, but for sure, data deluge is coming, right? 10 million Blu-ray discs worth of data is being generated every day. 50K GB of internet traffic is happening every second, right? 72 hours of video footage is being uploaded into YouTube every minute, right? And 216K Instagram posts are being posted every minute. Same is 204 million emails. I thought emails were not so fancy nowadays, but still, if you see, 204 million emails are sent per minute. So we are going to be flooded with data. That is bound to happen in the near future, or already happening to us. What we can do as the people working with data, I just don't call myself data scientist, I'm not still there, but I work with data. So all of us who are working with data, we have to first deal with all these preconceived notions people have. Most of the decisions are infected by almost 189 biases which people have, and this is researched aspect. 189 biases are there, which are classified into 20 groups and 4 categories. So I have used around 5 biases today to explain these concepts as to how these two polarities can be managed, just 5 of them. Imagine if you can understand all those 189, how well you will be able to hit the psyche of the people and get your points through, right? Now, the future is you. So you can actually use this. Learn to weave those words into your sentences. Learn to put those visuals in place so that you can grab the attention in the opportunity window that you have, right? And for that future, I wish you all the very best and conclude. Thanks. I have a question. Can I? I showed the slide of the saint. Does anybody remember what the saint was holding? Sorry?
Axe.
Not an axe. What was the saint holding?
Stick with a round bit on top.
There you go. So, please go ahead.
The stick with a round ball on top.
Stick with the round ball on top. I don't know if everybody was able to see, but I didn't ask anybody to remember that. How did he remember? How did he remember? At least small percentage of people remember. That's the Taxton theory, the second theory I was talking about, which means a round object. When you call a dog to feed, or you see a dog is looking at you, where does that dog look at? It directly looks into our eyes. Why does the dog look into our eyes? Because every animal is attracted to a black round thing or anything which is round. The eye first goes there. The reason why the dog knows to look into our eye is because it's there in the psyche. So next time when you draw a graph, don't put an arrow, put a dot at the end of that particular line, and people will immediately be drawn to that. So these are small things which are there in those 5 theories which you can take advantage of, right? Thanks a lot.